Welcome back. How are you?
I'm well, Mark. How are you?
Good, John. I always say this is one of my favorite questions, and because I find, we talk about leadership care are everywhere. Well, influences are everywhere too, and they sometimes happen in a minute. Sometimes they happen in a lifetime. Can you share with us two or three people that have been influencers in your life? I'm sure there's many more, but give us a taste.
Well, many. I've been surrounded from boyhood with goodness. Uncles that took me under their wing. My own mother and father, pastors who cared for me. I let me name two. Boyhood. A pastor named Norman Shank. He's still alive, and yeah, from childhood, I always felt that he looked at me as a person, not as a little boy.
Mhm.
He would talk to me. He would engage me, not in infantilizing the child, but engaging the child as a being. As a human being. I just think is very important. And I had some uncles who did that. My uncle Sam Heppener and my living uncle Jesse Yoder. I looked forward to being with them because they wanted to talk with me. And I don't know, that couldn't have been the most exciting part of their day, but it was the most exciting part of my day. To have a tall, self-possessed uncle uh, talk with me in a way that seemed like there was dignity being exchanged. A more recent influence is that, I mean, it's tough, to answer this question because there are so many, but I've had a mentor for the last 30 years, 28 years, a man named Bruce Bickle, who he helped me get some grant money years back when I started one of the organizations I birthed. He had been working for a charitable trust in the city, but he quickly became a friend and served on my board, but mostly was a friend. And Bruce has said many timely things to me
Mhm.
that I needed to hear. Someone a little older who's been through some things. I remember I was dismissed from a significant post, and there was some pain in that at the time. I look back on it with such thanksgiving and
Right.
gratitude. It was a wonderful thing to have happen. It was a little tough, and I called Bruce, and Bruce said, "Congratulations, man." He said, "That is really good news for you." And um, one more. We call them Bickleisms in my city. One more Bickleism. I have a faith background, and Bruce said to me, um, with the kindness, the love, the generosity of God in the universe, it's impossible for you to be a victim of circumstance, John. You can be a vessel in circumstance. The circumstance might suck just as bad, but you could, he said, look, people say, oh, get me out of this mess. Well, maybe we can be useful in the mess. And so, he always helped me shift my perspective from what do I demand, what do I require, what do I need, to how can I engage, how can I serve, what might this mean that would be useful. He always helped me shift my perspective, and so I'm really grateful to Bruce for that. But there are many. This too could go on for quite a while,
Well,
Mark.
I think that teaches us that we're also influencers, and we may not even be knowing that we're influencing at any particular.
Often, how many times has someone said, you remember that time, and you don't remember, and you said, and it doesn't even sound like you, and I was going through something and you didn't know it, and boy, it made such a difference. And influence is happening all the time. There are a lot of days, my head hits the pillow at the end of the day, and I might say a little prayer, and it can be really unsophisticated. Something like, I have no idea what that day was for, but but use whatever language you like, universe, God,
Oh,
nameless. What does Sam Shoemaker call it in AA? He had a saying for, this higher power. Do what, take the debris of this day, please, and make good use of it. There are many days I don't know anything that might have happened that's worthwhile, but it did. It did. Influence is always occurring, and so it's good for us to show up.
absolutely. That's why I a lot of times go back to that man's search for meaning. There's
Yeah,
meaning in everything.
there is.
And it's a brilliant way of looking at it that you said he had, where first of all, it gets you out of the whole negative thing of thinking.
Right,
And
right.
well, so how can I turn a pandemic into, if we don't learn from a pandemic, what a real tragedy it has been, if you
Yeah,
make that analogy. So
you're so right, Mark.
I'm with you. So thanks a million for sharing that. Really good stuff.
My pleasure. Great to be with you.
My pleasure too.